of this year. Absolutely. But so we're going to go from Chicago back into Boston, specifically Foxborough, Massachusetts, and into Gillette. And we will get into the Patriots and Cowboys, some Patriots and Cowboys talk. This was a good game, man. This was a dog, like, talk about a dog fight. This was back and forth and it was another fun game to watch. But we got a lot to unpack in this. I wanted to throw things during that game. I wanted to throw things. Remote controls, beer cans, stuff that was within arm's reach of throwing. Once again, Josh McDaniels is taking years and years off my life and putting unnecessary amounts of stress on my heart. This freaking guy. If we should do an entire episode and we'll just call it "This Freaking Guy," right? And serious. All right. So just allow me to vent for like 2 minutes. This dude, he is a Twitter meme in himself. I can't with this. So I'm not saying I'm not going to say Josh McDaniels was the whole reason we lost, but for the fourth game in a row, he was more than 50% of the reason why. It's just more of the same issues. It's the big plays, and I mean like big plays, like big third downs that you need to get to keep the chains moving, to squash the Dallas momentum, like big change, like game altering moments. And you come away from a drive in that moment on like a 3rd and 6 that you need to get, and it's like 2 bubble screens in a row, or like a run up the middle and then a bubble screen, and then a bubble screen, and it's like it like the run up the middle will be like -1 yards, and then the bubble screen will go for 4, and it's 4th and 2, and you got to punt, and it's like I can't. That's a nightmare that repeats in my head over and over and over again with him, and it's just I don't understand. For the life of me, Mac Jones has proven that he can throw accurately, right? That he can put velocity on a football and he can fit it into a tight window if you need him to. If you need him to make a throw, he's proven that he can hit the back shoulder throws. He can hit the slant routes. He's done it. That throw to Nelson Aguilar across the middle of the field, Pats Nation knows what I'm talking about. That throw to Nelson Aguilar across the middle of the field, wide open, and it hits him right in the hands, and he drops it. But that was a perfect football. He couldn't have thrown that any better. And yet they don't. Once again, Josh, and because Bill Belichick's part of this too, because you had said that there's no way that Bill Belichick does not go over the game plan with McDaniels. There's no way he doesn't look at it. Both of them don't look at it. There's no way. So, and if he's on board with this kind of conservative stuff, that I'm not going to lie, dude, that's concerning to me, because the league's evolving, JD. The league is evolving, and you need to evolve with it. Like, I'm not saying Bill's a bad coach, or like, oh, let's fire him because he's not. But you have to evolve with things, and you have a new, like, the situation's different. You don't have Tom Brady anymore. He's gone. You got to accept it. This is a new quarterback. You got to do things differently. You can't be that. You can't be that guy. You can't be the same. And he's trying to be the same guy he was with Belichick, and it's just seems like it's not working. And it's like banging your head into a brick wall. Oh, it's the same thing over and over. Like, they got to just take the training wheels off the kid and just let him throw it 36 times, 38 times a game, and just see what happens. I don't know. So what are your thoughts on it?
I think that I think that you guys are so used to seeing a dynamic playbook that maybe it's just not like what you're used to seeing with Mac Jones, and maybe maybe McDaniels, maybe that's all he trusts him with. And maybe he's wrong. Maybe you're right that he's wrong to only trust him with that. Maybe you should let it fly. Is McDaniels worried that Mac Jones will get exposed? Should he be worried about that? Sometimes it's okay to be exposed. Sometimes it's okay to like go out there and have a shitty game and then come back the next week and you're better for it. So, but here's my thoughts about that game though. To be honest with you, that was kind of my points addressing your thoughts on McDaniels, because like I do think that actually I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think that the game plan was relatively successful, because if it wasn't successful, this would be a blowout, because the Cowboys are really good, and I hate to say it because like just saying that
doesn't it hurt your soul having to
it
say
does
that?
It does, Karam in the chat and every other Cowboys fan, Pat and everybody else. It really hurts to say that, but like I did watch the game a lot of, and I watched the Turning Point and a couple other things about it, and it's just the Cowboys they're damn good, man. They're a damn good team. So I don't think the Patriots even came close to the talent that the Cowboys had. And they outcoached from my eyes, but I didn't watch play by play. You know what I mean? I kind of like watched everything else, looked at the stats.
Highlight reel.
I thought they were more, And when I watched the I watched the show, but anyway, and it broke down the game a little bit. I thought that the Patriots outcoached the Cowboys, but that Dak Prescott's a better player, and that the Cowboys have better talent than the Patriots. What's your thoughts on that?
So go ahead, Russ. Go ahead.
I have a bit of a bone to pick in situational game management. It's not something we've had to worry about in New England for a very long time. And conservative has always been the name of the game in New England. My problem is you have a team that's as explosive and damaging as the Cowboys, who could score, with the worst defense probably in the bottom 5 of defenses. These Cowboys, they shut us down for 2 quarters of football. We punted 5 times. We only got 17 first downs in the entire game. He could not make a field goal happen in a half of a football game. We punted on times where we're inches away, with running backs running 5 yards per carry and receivers catching balls. There wasn't that many drops in this game. I just feel like at the end of the day, at times we gave up on our offense. We did not. And any team that spends $100 million on players and only uses them 5 times in a game, which is our tight end core, they use the running backs more in the passing game than they use the tight ends. You can't win ball games.
I agree with that.
Get this right. They spent $87.5 million on those 2 tight ends, and they've thrown to them in 6 games. They've thrown to them 20 times. That's not enough, dude. That is in no way.
And that is the play calling, in my opinion, because something you want to get, if you got a young quarterback, you want to use tight ends more. Like that's just something that you want to use, in my opinion.
That's your emergency outlet usually, And we got murdered by time of possession. Our defense by the half of the third quarter was completely gassed out. Josh McDaniels could not keep the offense on the field long enough to give our defense any sort of rest. So what happened was, as you saw, it all opened up towards the end of the game into overtime. That's where we got stuck. And I blame most of this loss, unfortunately, on Josh McDaniels and his inability to keep the offense on the field and at least get down the field in driving situations and at least get a field goal. If we had 2 field goals in those shutout quarters, we would have won this ball game.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that. You're right. This game was definitely on the table. Like it wasn't. Yeah, there was never a point in the game, in my opinion, that the Patriots were out of it. So, no, yeah. I mean, it comes down to the coaches.
Here's my thing, right? the Cowboys stepped up in big moments when they had to. So I have a couple of major pointers here. The Cowboys made the plays when they had to in big moments, whether it was their offense, their defense. They stepped up and they made plays and they won. They made the big plays when they needed to. That strip sack from Randy Gregory on Mac Jones. They got the football. That's a huge momentum changing play. The tackle gets beat. The Patriots, Justin Herron gets beat. Randy Gregory eats his lunch and then goes and almost, and tackles Mac into a different dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so here's where what really gets me, right? Here's what really gets me. The Pats defense stopped the Cowboys 3 times and got the football back, right? The last one being at 2 minutes and 40 the last one being at 2 minutes and 42 seconds. And this is the one that, like, I literally, if there was, I'm lucky I didn't have a beer can or a remote or something within arm's length, because I would have thrown it. Because so we got the football back with 2 minutes and 42 seconds, right? We get 2 first downs, and that game is over. That game is over. We get 2 first downs, and that game is over. So what's that? Maybe what's 2 first downs? Call it maybe, let's say 10 plays. You get 10 plays to make 2 first downs. And McDaniels couldn't even do that. Like, he couldn't scheme up 10 plays enough to literally run the clock out on Dallas. There was 2:42 on the clock when we got the ball back. And when we gave the ball back to Dak for his game-tying drive on the one that set the field goal up, right? The one that set the field goal up, we gave the football back to them with 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So what's that? 18 seconds, 20 seconds off. That's all he managed to take off the clock.
Right.
That's on him. That's his job, to be like, how am I going to run this clock out and give Dak the football with 30 seconds instead of 2.5 minutes? Like, that's a failure on him as an offensive coordinator. I don't care how bad your offensive line is. Run it 3 times and, run the ball 3 times, run it in the middle of the field. And get it, waste the 30 seconds on the play clock and then kick it. And Dak would have 48 seconds instead of, 2.5 minutes.
Right.
So
yeah,
and then so this one, this is a big one too. One of the Pat in the chat says, don't forget about the 3rd and 25. So defense,
right.
Well, here's an example on the defense that just aggravates the microcosm of the game, right? And then we'll move on. Then we'll move on to the next subject, right? Microcosm of the game. It's 3rd and 25. Dak throws a dart and gets 24 of that back. They get 4th and 1, and they go for it and get 3. They go for it and get 3 yards and get another set of downs.
They're good.
That's giving up on your team.
That's just, I don't know how that's
right.
I don't know how that's possible. Like that's not good. 3rd and 25 and you can't get a team off the field. And then not only do you give the 25 up, but you give up the 4th and 1 that keeps the drive going. It's this was just a offensive and defensive nightmare for them at the end of the game. In the second half, the Patriots could not get out of their own way. The first half, McDaniels, I will give him credit. The first half, things were dynamic. He was setting things up. He was good. I'll give it to him. But I don't know what happened. But the second half, things just fell apart. Dallas and Dak Prescott are too good of a team. They put their foot. They saw that we had weakness in the second half, put their foot on the throttle, and never looked back.
Well, I mean, does Belichick? Belichick has to get some blame here too, though, because anytime you score 35, you're a defensive coach. Just saying, both of them get some blame. I agree. It's definitely not on Mac Jones here. That's all I would say. It's on the coaches.
No, absolutely. It's there's multiple issues that they have got to work out, or this is not going to be a good year until they fix, until they fix some of these issues. But now we are going to switch. We're going to switch sports, and we're going to go back down the pike on the Up Yours Houston Astros Express. Right back into the Whitney. Say, hey, BTG with a $10 donation. Appreciate you, buddy. Say, love you, buddy. Keep crushing it. Back to work. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, BTG.
It,
shout out to you, bud. Appreciate it.